Hey guys, it is Howitzer here, and I am back with yet another video for you from the Aliens universe. For many people, after viewing Prometheus, they came away with more questions than answers. I think that one of the bigger questions in that movie, other than did the engineers create the humans, was why are they returning to Earth? And on top of that, if they planned on destroying us, what was their motivation to do this? We've heard from Ridley Scott in a few different interviews that he was questioned on why the engineers wanted to kill the humans. He has always replied with basically the same answer. He says that the engineers created us, but their creation did not live up to their standards. In one interview, he even mentioned the Romans and other warring groups possibly being responsible for drawing the ire of the engineers. To me, this is most likely the reason why the engineers wanted to return to Earth. They created the humans, and for some unknown reason, they now want to kill them. Even with all these ideas, I still think it may be interesting to take a look at some ideas as to why they would want to wipe out the human race, or even explore some alternate ideas as to why they may want to visit Earth. In one of the earlier scripts for Prometheus titled Alien Engineers, written by John Spates, we have a dialogue in which Holloway proposes that Jesus may have been an engineer. He says that they sent him here to try to guide mankind, and he was killed for it. It's not mentioned in the movie like it's fact, but I still think it's an important line to take note of. Even Ridley Scott has been asked about this line in interviews, and he said that the idea was just a little too spot on. He knew that this idea would upset a lot of people. What I really think is fascinating, though, is that he called it spot on. So did he really take this idea to heart? Does he still think this happened kind of in the background and just not mentioned in the movies? Another idea is that the humans were just simply an experiment. An experiment that has gone either bad or wrong, or it's just run its course. If they don't see us as equals, or at the very least a free-willed, free-living, sentient species, then we may just be molded in a petri dish to them. Just throw it away and start up a new experiment. Keeping with that science experiment idea, what if they created the black goo and the alien? Well, then who's to say that humans weren't some failed attempt at another weapon? Or, if we don't have to be a weapon, perhaps humans are created in a vain attempt at breeding resources, or for incubators for some alien, or a variant of the alien. If humans are so similar to the engineers, it's possible that we were made in order to be test dummies. Why not use some other species close enough to you to test on, but still different enough that you don't get attached to them? Humans are just now beginning to phase out trial testing on chimpanzees, so who's to say that humans weren't meant to be nothing more than an experiment, or a vessel of which to experiment on? Now, this next theory is probably the most popular one that's been floating around since the release of Prometheus. Many people think that there's a civil war amongst the engineers, or at the very least that there are two or more different groups within them. One being a group of them that's going around seeding life throughout the universe, and the other group being a more malevolent group that's going around for some unknown reason and destroying life in the universe. I can really see why this theory has gained a lot of traction. It does help explain some of the issues we've seen in the first two prequels. The spaceship that the engineers used in the sacrificial scene was much different than any derelict or juggernaut ships that we see in all the other Alien movies. The craft here is round, whereas all the other ships have distinct odd shapes to them. Are these engineers separate from the group of engineers that fly the juggernauts and derelicts? Are there more than one faction of engineers? And are the destroyer engineers taking out all life, or are they just undoing life that was created by the other engineer group? It's very possible to me that a race of aliens as advanced as the engineers, living on multiple planets, would have some division in their people, leaving wide open the possibility of a civil war, or at the very least, groups of differing ways of doing things. In my video on the Alphas, Aliens Above the Engineers, I have a theory that is similar to the Civil War idea. It has nothing to do with the Alphas, but the engineers themselves. In that video, the engineers that have the armor aren't simply wearing armor, but I believe these engineers have been tainted or experimented on with the black goo. Because of this, I see these engineers as a subset or different group than the normal engineers that we see in Alien Covenant, and also in the deleted sacrificial engineer scene from Prometheus. This idea works just like the Civil War idea, giving you two different groups of engineers. That way you can have a group responsible for the creation of humans, and then a group responsible for wanting to destroy the humans. In my Alpha story, I reversed the setup and had engineers created from human DNA by the Alphas. But that was just for fun, as even I believe that the engineers created the humans using their own DNA. In that story, the tainted engineers, or xeno-engineers as I called them, were created by the engineers that were more human-like from the planet as seen in the Alien Covenant movie. They were made to do the heavy lifting and hard work in space and on other planets, and because of this, the xeno-engineers held a grudge against the engineers. When the xeno-engineers end up discovering the humans, they find out that the engineers made the humans just like they made them. They see humans as an inferior race that get to live free while they're created to do the work of the engineers, so they plot to destroy the humans. Now, another idea that sounds unlikely, but I still think it's worth discussing, is the fact that they were heading to Earth, but possibly not to destroy it. The Prometheus crew learns from David that the engineers were on their way to Earth before being interrupted. When David was asked why they're returning to Earth, he simply says that sometimes to create, one must first destroy. We know all too well from Prometheus and Covenant that even though David is smart, he's pretty conniving and will say whatever he wants to get his own way. Is it possible that they were heading to Earth for different reasons other than destruction? I know people will say the ship was full of that weaponized black goo, but just because that was on board doesn't mean that the mission was a bombing mission. It would make more sense, but I think it's fun to examine the slim chance they were heading to Earth to check up on their creation, or perhaps even alter the humans' evolution. Even Ridley once mentioned in an interview that the engineers would revisit and tweak mankind to their liking. We do have to remember that they did leave a star map for us to find them, so it's possible that they were returning for reasons other than wiping out the humans, just not likely. And last but not least, I have one more bonus theory on why the engineers would want to return to Earth. They were looking for Predator. Sorry guys, I just had to add that last one in there just for fun because I get so many comments about Predator on pretty much every Alien franchise video and I couldn't resist. So what do you guys think? I know again the most likely idea is just what Ridley had stated, that the engineers made the humans, then decided to kill them off, but I love looking at alternate ideas and digging deeper at the questions offered in this franchise. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, leaving a like helps out the channel so much, and if you haven't already subscribed, why not subscribe for all the future Alien goodness to come? Take care everybody, and I hope to see you next time.